Right, so apparently this happened, and I haven't seen the whole video. I have no idea who's going to win. But we got the manure truck versus the police water cannon. I never thought that I would see this duel in real life, but here we are. It seems that the police is actually able to use the water spray and stop the manure. It's really wild. Like it almost created like a water shield, right? Like this is a fifth level spell that the police has. And as you can see, it's actually pushing the manure truck back, like it's trying to reorient itself in order to better apply the spray. But unfortunately, the truck wasn't designed for this. This is like a secondary ability that they're using here. And look, like the water is absolutely stopping the manure from going forward. None of the police officers are sprayed. I gotta say, like, they're pretty brave just standing there. Like, they're showing a lot of confidence and unity cohesion. And, yeah, the manure truck was driven back. Now, suffice to say that I woke up this morning and my timeline is absolutely oozing with pro-European Union propaganda. People with Ukrainian flags in the bio posting stuff like this. Farmers will never destroy food, right? So, like, all of a sudden, this person understands farmers everywhere, and he knows how to tell a farmer from a non-farmer is that a farmer will never, under any circumstance, destroy food. And thus, these people, like, despite the fact that they are growing plants and they have the potatoes, they are actually not farmers. They're probably magicians, conjuring food from the ether. Another very popular video with 2.2 million views shows a tractor going towards a police line. These individuals did not have the same unit cohesion. But as you can see here, you have a lot of snark, right? Like city dwellers going, I don't know, man. If free trade ruins your business, maybe you should reconsider your line of work. So, obviously, farmers that have been farming for a generation should actually go on social media and listen to these blue check marks about trying to get into a different line of work. There were also a couple of German journalists out there wondering, can you imagine if this was anyone else besides farmers? Like, can you imagine what would happen? And the answer is like, well, I don't have to imagine. Like, I know what would happen from previous events. If they're migrants, for instance, they'd probably get arrested. Like, the people that drive the truck get arrested. And most likely, in this situation, the farmers could actually get arrested, not during the event, but the police can come to their doors after the event. Usually, the police can track their social media accounts, and this is why it's pivotal and extremely important for the European Union to try and pass legislation like chat control and digital ID in order to prevent this atrocity from happening in the future. But if they're migrants, for instance, they too would get arrested. However, the mainstream media would only talk about it for like 5 hours or so. We saw it during the BLM protests, right? Like when during the COVID lockdowns, you had people protesting, and well, like the police gives them a space to protest, and if bad things happen, the media talks about it for 6 hours or so. Whether if there anyone else, especially heaven forbid citizens from the actual European Union, then the coverage is like 24/7, pictures on social media, the trust and safety teams being asleep, not asking for the pictures to be censored or anything like that. And so, yes, I can definitely imagine what it's like if they weren't farmers. Now, let's talk a little bit about what's happening, right? Because, like, as you can see, most of the propaganda seems to align itself with the idea that farmers just don't like democracy, they just don't like capitalism. And so, in their infinite wisdom, these people who have families, and they're not gangsters or mobsters or individuals that are usually proficient in crime, they decided to abandon their families and take their tractors all the way to Brussels and risk getting arrested for no reason whatsoever, right? Risk having their expensive tractors confiscated, risk having their face in the media, simply because they woke up one day and they said, fuck free trade. Now, let's talk about the reality and who is to blame. Is the European Union to blame or are the farmers stupid? The answer is both, actually. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but like, if you want to come to the adult table, I do have to say that there are circumstances in the world where both can be in the wrong. So let's discuss about what the farmers are doing wrong first and foremost. And to be honest, I kind of understand where they're coming from. It's not a clear-cut case where I can judge them. But basically what's going on is the European Union is giving subsidies to farmers. And so there's a lot of money and grants issued by the government which farmers can access. And in order to take that money, you also get strings attached. So if you actually take the government grants, all of a sudden you can't farm the way you want, right? Like you have to take into account the environmentalist legislation. There are only a couple of seeds you're allowed to plant. In some cases, the government may even tell you that the land needs to be left barren for a while. And so, yes, you do have access to grants. Like you do have access to free shit. But you're basically tying yourself to all these strings, which makes you dependent, right? Like you're pretty much getting a masa by doing this. And so like farmers taking EU money, all of a sudden notice that the EU money is not necessarily for them to manage to have like bountiful harvests and be able to feed the people. No, a lot of the money comes with environmentalist policies, which are actually extremely bad for business. And they make the product a lot more expensive than it should be. And now if you're competing with other farmers from other places that aren't having these money and don't have to make these regulations, well, the same product, like the same tomato, is more expensive when you give it to the customer compared to the other guy that doesn't have to care about the environmentalist bullshit and has a cheaper tomato. And so now the farmers are panicking. Now the reason I don't really blame them for taking the money is because I do understand how the free market works. And so if you're eligible for a grant, you have to take it because otherwise your competition takes it. And if your competition takes it, well, then they can invest in better tractors, they can invest in better farm equipment, and then they can outcompete you. And so, you know, internally speaking, like in the country at the time, their shit actually becomes cheaper. Your shit becomes more expensive because you didn't take the money. And so, like, there's an incentive to take the money, and if you take the money, there's an incentive to actually follow what the EU wants you to do. And so the EU basically gave money to the farmers for a couple of years. They forced them to have like all these regulations and the price of the product went to a certain level. And now the European Union wants to do free trade with other nations that don't have the same policies and to import shit that's cheaper from there, right? And so like the farmers were damned if they do, damned if they don't. So this is why they're chimping out. It's not because they're against free trade. Is they're against the fact that the market isn't free. You can't have a free market when you're giving subsidies to the farmers and you're attaching them environmentalist strings and then you're importing shit from other places that don't have to play by the bullshit. This is very similar to what happened to the industry in the European Union. It's like, okay, we're shutting down nuclear reactors. We're forcing people to have a minimum wage. We're forcing people to pay taxes for healthcare and shit. All the industry moves to China. And now we're buying stuff from China, right? And the local industry gets butthurt. The difference, though, is that a person that works in an automobile factory, if they lose their job, they can get a different job, right? Like they can work in a restaurant, they can work in a hotel, they can work in construction. Like there's other things they can do. The thing with a farmer is that it's a way of life. It's not just a job. Like most people are farming because like their grandparents farmed and their great-grandparents farmed. And while farmers look like they're wealthy, I mean, look at that fucking tractor, right? Like that tractor alone is probably like $1 million or some shit. And most farmers do have like millions of dollars in assets. And so they look wealthy on paper, but in reality, like the way farming works, yeah, like most of your money is actually stuck in farming equipment and assets. They don't actually have the money in the pocket to afford to go to vacations in Florida. As a European, it's expensive to go to Florida as a European, right? Like they don't have the same money that a millionaire has. On paper they do, right? But it's their house, it's their tractor, so on and so forth. And so they're actually not very wealthy individuals. But they're really useful for propaganda. Because when you show city folk, like, look how wealthy farmers are, well, they generally think like it's a medieval boyar or some shit. And so if you have an ideology like we need to fuck with the rich, well, the farmers qualify as the rich, even though they don't have the rich lifestyle. And not to mention, like, most of them have a lot of children. And so, like, the costs for maintaining the business is actually quite significant, to the point where, again, like, the lifestyle of a billionaire farmer actually has less amenities and less quote-unquote fun stuff than the life of a young man in the city, which may even qualify for welfare. But anyway, right, so basically when you threaten their way of life and when you threaten their future, they're getting desperate. So much so that, yes, like, they're willing to leave their families behind to go and protest and actually risk getting arrested. That's how desperate they are. And people like to blame the farmers for doing it, but can we also, right, like the farmers, surely, like, we need to blame them. But can we also blame the politicians that are pushing people into such desperate levels that they are willing to get arrested? Again, like, these are family men, right? Like, these are members of our community that live in the rural area. Like, they're not gangsters, they're not mobsters, they're not freeloaders, they feed people. I know the European Union likes to have this unofficial mantra, which is fuck the people that make our food, and that food happens to sprout in the supermarket, and we're all environmentalists, and cow farts are evil. But we need some common sense, right? You can't really fuck your farmers, because, like, we need to protect the planet Earth, and then import from other farmers that don't protect planet Earth. Makes no fucking sense. And also, there is another thing. Farming, again, is not like the car manufacturing industry, where, you know, like, it's the same thing every year and you can predict the output. Farming is dependent on the land. Farming is dependent on the weather. Like, you can have a bad year, you can have a good year. So when you import shit from halfway across the world, and, you know, you can have a drought in Europe, or maybe you can have a bountiful harvest, right? And you're already having low prices because, like, there's too much supply. And you're injecting into the country product that's from all the way across the world with different weather conditions, different prices. Yeah, I can see why people get upset, right? And you can say it's free trade, but again, the European Union has made absolutely sure that it's not free trade. You don't have free trade with government subsidies and strings attached, and it's not capitalism if the product's price is artificially inflated or artificially deflated. And on top of that, right, like, let's look at something else. Let's say that the product is literally the same. If you're a German farmer and you need some farm hands, right, you need to pay the minimum wage. You need to pay for their benefits. Like, you need to pay taxes for them so that they can have healthcare and so that they can have education and other things, right? It's expensive. Are you telling me that the same thing happens in South Africa? Like, are you telling me the minimum wage from Germany is the same as from the South Africa? And if not, right, like, obviously the end product in South Africa is going to be cheaper. Now, the comeback that I hear from leftists is like, well, of course you need to pay minimum wage. And it's all like, okay, well, if you need to pay minimum wage, then why are you buying a product from a nation that doesn't pay the minimum wage? Like, what are we doing? How does this make sense, right? You're forcing people to abide by humane standards, and you're buying it from people that apply inhumane standards? Yeah, so the thing is also that the European Union cocked regarding the previous farming protests, and so the current farmers are a little bit more emboldened. I like the fact that there's journalists going, well, actually, you know, like, they were protesting in front of the European Union, but little did they know that the parliament wasn't even there, because the summit was on a different site. And during that period, the European Parliament was convening a session in Strasbourg. They are desperate people. Like, no one goes to with a tractor in front of the European Union because they're having a really nice life. And they're thinking about... So, yeah, no, like, there should be negotiations. And I wonder if any representatives from these people were included, or if technocracy just works like, we know better. At least it's not as bad as in the United Kingdom, right? Like, now I can't shit talk the European Union as much as I want, because the UK exists, where apparently they passed an inheritance tax, and farmers are literally killing themselves, and the Prime Minister was told about this, And he's like, I mean, it is what it is. And again, like, they're doing it so that the inheritance can go off before the law passes into effect. It's absolutely horrible. Like, I've never seen such a disgusting display of lack of compassion for fellow country members. And so, yeah, I can't really shit talk the EU as much as I used to when I have the United Kingdom as a worse example. And so I can say now, yes, we're in the EU, but at least we haven't reached the level that Britain is at. We still have a long way to go. Although I have faith, I do have faith in the EU MPs that slowly but surely they will take us to the glory of the United Kingdom. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.